So still on the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, we'll be having with us, giving us some insight because the conversation is still ongoing. We know that the main opposition parties, PDP and LP, are going to Supreme Court. And people are still talking about the fact that some were disappointed in the judgment, others are upholding the judgment. We'll be having with us Mr. Adekunle Oyesanya. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and he was called to the bar about 36 years ago. He'll be joining us on Zoom, and he's a principal counsel at the Adekunle Oyesanya Law Practice. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Good to have you. All right, so before we bring in our guests, I'd like to come to Nima, because Nima, we've not heard your own views on this matter. We discussed it extensively when the judgment was read, but I know Nigerians would also like to hear your views on it, because we haven't heard you. What are your thoughts on the petition and the judgment?
Okay, so at the time the petitions were being filed, some details were not available for me to read. But I felt that at the time the judgment was being delivered, I saw law, because the law is completely different from morality. It's also very different from your emotions. Most people against the tribunal conclusion are emotional for me, because whatever you do in law is what we call pleading, what you bring before the court, what you're asking the court, and what you're able to prove. And when you come and say, this is how they do in the US, as a basis for what you want to prove in court, there's a problem. Or you say there was a newspaper publication saying somebody was a criminal, something that the Supreme Court has already decided upon, and you're bringing the issue again, saying that you come and decide it again based on, and you can't prove it, and you're shouting. It's not because you can. I mean, people say, oh, no, they're going to arcade or living on load. Even if it's a big cry, they will not leave your father's corpse in the house. Somebody must bury, make all of us know death of infection. Something must go as we want it, as we have written it down to guide us. We cannot continue to do things emotionally.
Right.
And so a lot of times, around this public tribunal and the conclusions, I just say emotions and I just keep quiet. Yesterday, I saw someone saying, the president is not my president, and I'm saying, are you denouncing your country over an issue you disagree on?
Let me come to our guests, because I'd like to hear your thoughts. Good, sir, you're still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Now, let me come to you. What are your own thoughts, initial thoughts on the judgment? Do you agree with those who say that it was the right judgment, or you agree with those who are saying that they need to take it to the Supreme Court because the judges were being unfair to the other parties?
Well, let me start by saying that as a lawyer, I'm always a bit more circumspect in reviewing these issues. You see, when parties go to court, as even before the tribunal, they go with what we call pleadings. In this case, the petitioner will file his petition, the respondent has his own reply. These are the pleadings upon which the case is fought. And then the case advances to the stage of evidence, oral evidence, that is given by the parties. And then, of course, the lawyers will make their submissions, their legal submissions. And the judges look at all of this to give their judgment. If you notice, the judges, in reading the judgment, they skip some areas of the judgment, areas where they rehashed the pleadings of the parties. The pleadings are the aggregate of the facts of the case that the parties have brought. Because of maybe to save time, they skip all those areas and went straight to the submissions of the legal counsel and the issues for determination, and they resolve the issues. And all of that even took about 12 hours or more, if you notice. Now, for me as a lawyer, I would prefer to see the pleadings that the parties took to the tribunal, which was not apparent on the face of what was read. Before I come to some conclusion about whether the judgment one way or the other. But all of that we will see when the appeal is filed. There will be a record of appeal, and that record will contain all of this that I'm talking about.
Okay.
But on the face of it, as far as I'm concerned, I think the judges did a painstaking job. They did a painstaking job. They were thorough, and they tried to make sure that they did it with any detail. And don't forget, before the judgment, the social media was awash with all kinds of insinuations about the judiciary, all eyes on the judiciary and all of that. So I think the judges were trying to make sure that they didn't leave any stone unturned, and that if there's any mistake at the end of the day,
all right,
it will not be because they have not done their best. So I think on the face of it, the judgment from what we heard, I think it was a good judgment.
Okay, let me get a
Subject
few
what
questions in
people
for you.
think about it.
Okay, what do you think about the opposition parties deciding to take the case further for appeal to probably the Supreme Court? What are your views on that? And how do you think it may likely play out?
Of course, it is their constitutional right to do so. In fact, I would be disappointed if they don't do so, because there are some areas of that judgment which I would want the Supreme Court to touch upon, to decide finally. There's merit of it. For example, I'll give you an example. The 25% at the foreign capital territory issue. For example, I was thinking actually that the judges will give a split decision on that point. But the way they went about it, said, look, when it comes to interpreting the Constitution, you must be more liberal in approach than with any other statute. And you must look at the end of justice at the end of the day, that will justice be served by interpreting this way or that way. And unanimously, somehow, they all agreed that that's the way they wanted to go. That you cannot give the federal capital one special status over and above all the other states, as far as they are concerned. And they started section of the Constitution itself to prove their point. But again, I think this is a matter that I think should be taken to the Supreme Court, so that matter can be laid down once and for all. Otherwise, it will keep recurring in other elections.
Okay.
Keep recurring.
Okay.
So, but it is good they are going on appeal, and I'm happy about that.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, it is what Nima said earlier, the fact that we have a large chunk of people who feel that the judgment is not, they feel the judgment was not fair based on the fact that they did not get the right outcome. And there are people that are putting things on social media and saying that this is not my president, or this government is not my government. How, because at the end of the day, after the judgment is out, we still have to work as a nation. What would you say would be the approach to bringing resolution to the fact that we have fractions that feel they've not been heard accordingly? Would you say we should start that process now, or after we get to the Supreme Court, the judgment from the Supreme Court?
No, of course, we should start the process now. And let me say that, look, there will always be this kind of dissenting opinions after every election and after every judgment of the election petition tribunals. This has happened since 1979, since I was in there. I mean, these things have always been the case. And when you say some people are not happy about it, I mean, there's no way of even measuring whether they are the majority or the minority, really. But the important thing is that people will always be agreed one way or the other. And that's why the system is there for us to go to the appellate court. And even after the appellate court, Supreme Court, I mean, the apex court, after the apex court has ruled, there will still people who will not still be satisfied. But the important thing is that we must remember that as a nation, we need to move forward. And I also hope that our legislators will also pick one or two things from this judgment, especially after the Supreme Court, to see how they can amend our electoral laws to ensure that, I mean, more justice is done, people feel more confident about the system. Otherwise, it will be a problem. If we go forward and we just do it like this, there are issues that are, of course, issues to be discussed going forward. But we need to know that as a nation, once the Supreme Court has ruled, at the end of the day, we should just shield our swords and continue as a nation and wait for another 4 years when we can also go to the polls again and see whether we can pick a candidate of our choice. We should not make it a do or die affair. No, we have a country to live in at the end of the day. If we, at the end of the day, we destroy everything in this place, and we have to call our. In a democracy, the majority will have their way, as they say, and the minority will have their say. So that will always be the fact of life.
Yes, sir, following the ruling, when we were listening to the conclusions from the election petition tribunal, some people were saying, my husband particularly was arguing that why do lawyers mislead clients? If it was like this and there were precedents to show, there were Supreme Court judgments and the defense followed, the respondent followed in, replying to this petition. Why did the other lawyers not know it and their SCN on that table? You understand? And recently now, the petition also concluded that IREV was not mandated, INEC was not mandated to upload on IREV. That is in the Electoral Act. Why did we allow and the lawyers knew, why did we allow the rave?
Let me even add to that, Mr. Oyesonya, because my own question that nobody has been able to answer me so far is the fact that even though INEC was unable to upload the result from the polling unit real time, It was eventually uploaded. Now, when it got uploaded, were there discrepancies with what was uploaded and what was manually collated? That was my own question, because that's what I wanted to see the Peter Obi and the PDP guys come up with, that there are evidences that, yes, you upload real time, but this one was uploaded, though. It says 2,000. When my people collated manually, they saw 5,000. This is a discrepancy. So was there that discrepancy that was presented to the court, and still court is saying that it was inadmissible?
What? No.
Are you listening to me or the TV? Hello, sir, are you there?
Is it still there?
I think we've lost
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Did you hear the question?
Yes, if I might just answer very quickly.
Please.
Number one, it is not quite correct to say that lawyers deliberately mislead their clients, particularly Sinabugo to Nigeria. Sinabugo to Nigeria are lawyers who have paid their dues, who are tested and tried, and at that level, whatever they do is what they believe is right. But at the end of the day, you still have people that we call justices or judges who will look at both parties and say, I would rather prefer this opinion than that opinion, based on precedent, of course. But you see, the problem with this particular issue, and that's why I say again that we need to touch our electoral laws so as to make sure that our electoral jurisprudence gives some semblance of fairness at the end of the day, is that these issues of bypass and all of those that you are mentioning, I think they were introduced into the electoral act 2022 by Section 47 of that act. But you see, the law is contained in that section. Just says that, for example, the smart card reader or any other device that INEC contributes is what they will use to accredit voters and all that. But you see, the INEC will now go ahead and do what we call make guidelines to the electoral act to the conduct of that election. But you see, the problem has been that in most cases, there are authorities, even of the PET code, that those guidelines and even the electoral act cannot override the constitution. That has always been a problem, and that it also showed in the judgment. And that's why I said the matter must go upstairs for the PET court to look at it and come to a decision. Whether, for example, INEC guidelines and electoral act, once INEC says this is what we're going to do, it must be taken as the law partial media, which must not change. So that but you see, if wherever there's a conflict between those guidelines and the constitution, the guidelines will go. They will go. The constitution has to prevail. So and you see, when you give lawyers, if you give, like they say, give 5 lawyers an opinion to write, they will see it differently. Most of them will see it differently. Okay. And they will have authorities to support their views. So it's not because they are being dishonest, and no, they are following the law. I mean, but no lawyer will go to court to make any submission without a legal authority. All right. There will be one authority or the other. But at the end of the day, the judge decides which of the authorities is more apt to the circumstances than the other. That's what happened. It's not the question of anybody mistaking anybody. Those lawyers on both sides did their very best. They did a lot of work. But what I read in the judgment, they did a lot of work. They did their very best. But
all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Oyesha. We have Ayodele. Good morning, Ayodele. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to have got you today.
Yes.
I've been trying this line for upwards of 2 months. I cannot come up online. On this particular issue.
Hello, Ayodele.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much for having you today. I've been trying to get on this program for upwards of 2 months. I cannot get it. I'm very grateful that I came in today on this particular topic we have now. On this election, the question Morayo asked just now is still baffling with our current lawyers. Our manual is there, and there is a provision of law that allows every party to have representatives in all the polling booths across the country. And a copy of the voting that occurred in that polling booth was given to each of their representatives across all the nations, which means typically on their own, they can compute and know exactly what happened. And At the same time, the INEC does not uphold initially, and they uphold at the end of the day. It is clear for the political party. I have not seen of them, the two parties, Labour and PDP, coming out that my representative in this polling unit brings 5,000 and you upload 2,000. How come they do like that? And they call other representatives, they match it with each other and see whether there is a deficiency or not. It is then we know that there is a flaw somewhere else. Nobody has ever come up with this evidence that what they upload on the island is different from what my representative in that polling booth has.
Okay, thank you very much. Because in addition to what you were saying, and I'll come to the ladies, your views on it, I understand that LP, because LP complained that they didn't have enough man across all the polling units. I can understand. It was a very small party. I mean, they just happened overnight. But PDP is not a small party. They had reps across every polling unit. So even if LP did not have enough people, PDP that is saying, I have a rep in every single polling unit. Give me what you collated. Let us see versus what is on IREF. If it does not, that's the evidence. That's why the judge was saying that, do you want us to be the ones to go and find the evidence for you on the road? No. Because you must come with documentation to show that there's discrepancy.
So how do you expect them to get the documentation?
It was
they were allowed
provided.
to take picture.
They were allowed to take pictures.
The IREF was a picture of every agent signed on each of those documents.
Grab it like that.
So as they signed, they were going to take pictures.
Okay, they did not take.
Maybe they did not. They didn't bring
it as a
enough.
picture.
Yes.
They will upload that result that your polling unit, what's it called, the polling officer for that place, takes, and all of the agents have signed and agreed that this is the outcome of today's election in this polling unit. It will be uploaded like that without anybody touching it.
Picture. It's not nobody's typing anything.
Yes.
Okay. It's the picture you upload.
Like that.
And then that thing you took a picture, that document is collated
Morayo.
and handed over. So my question is, what you uploaded and
Does
what
it
was
tally?
Does it tally? If it doesn't tally, bring the evidence to the courts.
Of
That's
what
why
you
Judge kept saying that
you uploaded.
Give me
me the
do you
evidence.
want me to go to the show and look for evidence for you? I
Also-
can't do that.
also-
So I
there
was
was
thinking,
the-
it's a question I
people
want
need
to ask so that
clarity,
you
yes.
just clarify since you're a lawyer. I was thinking that since INEC presented the original results, you know, they are the ones to present also the results from the uploaded one and the manual.
Disputed polling
Yes.
units, 700 and something, 100,000 polling units.
Yes.
Now, what happened in Osun Election Tribunal is very fresh to this one.
Yes.
It's closer.
Yes.
The party disputing the election result, which was the APC at the time, went into the records themselves to bring per person, per polling unit and prove their case at the tribunal.
So it's their job.
Yes, they proved their case. You cannot make the burden that you have put on yourself.
Burden of proof.
So no, you cannot say that it's too much of a burden.
Yeah.
Tell INEC to come and prove that they are not lying. You are the one alleging that they are lying. You must prove that they are lying if it is that important to you.
Exactly.
But now you are online, you're saying, tell them to come and prove. The one I cannot even understand, that I cannot bear, is the way they are tearing our judiciary apart and comparing it to the perfection of judiciaries abroad. Is it not this America that everybody is comparing? We are reading their own every day. I'm not here to do the marketing business for America.
Is it not the same judiciary
saying-
that gave Peter Obi himself the governorship?
It was it was not a good one.
Then,
President
same
Buhari
judiciary.
stood out for one thing as a president in this country. He did not meddle into the matters of the judiciary in any election petition. And we have history of presidents from 1999 meddling, removing presidents of the Senate, removing state governors, removing everybody.
Absolutely.
And some people also benefited.
Absolutely.
In this same country, this judiciary is sacrosanct. This is our own Nigeria judiciary. If you want to leave, call it names, go somewhere else. Leave this country the way it is. Don't burn it down for the benefits you are getting internationally and tell us you are doing activism.
God bless you.
Let us not burn it down. I cannot take this thing. Don't burn down this country for the benefits you are getting to activism popularity abroad.
Because those who are screaming activism,
there is no country better than your own.
They're getting international support.
There's no country better than your own. When you destroy your own, you will see where you are going, what level of citizenship you get. The people who have somebody was responding to a Nigerian answering him on his Twitter page when he's the one burning the embassy in this country, saying that I'm in my country now, I am queuing, I'm getting good air and everything. You will still suffer more in that country. All of us, we are here. We are tied with this decision of trying to reach a better Nigeria. You don't already escape. Can you mind your business?
Nima, let me come to talk for a second, because it's like some people don't even bother reading the judgment. They don't care. They're already corrupt.
800 pages, even if they did not read everything.
They paid everybody.
Listen,
It's very difficult to unseat a president. Look at them. You don't even bother opening. It's like you can tell those who did not go to school. From this judgment.
No, if you want your conclusion now.
If you can tell those who actually went to school, because many of them read it objectively,
and
listened,
yes.
and now thought about it and said, okay. But those of that don't, they have no clue.
No, it's not about
they're just good. They're just following. No, it's about they're just
Sometimes
following.
it's just being loyal to what you think should have been. It's not about
we can
be being able to tell the truth is also maturity.
Yeah.
When something doesn't favor you, but you see that this thing couldn't have gone anywhere else. I cannot say Tokpe head must give.
What is
because I want to be happy.
What is truth? And because there are many discolorations and colorations to this thing, different perspectives, and the way we read things, and our conclusion from what we read based on the lenses we are reading it through. So because of my bias, I'm not reading what is written. I'm reading
it through.
Yes, I'm reading, and you're watching. Are you both reading the same thing? How come you are both reading the same thing and you're getting different sound bites from it? So for me, it is the fact that I'm not arguing whether I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I'm not meant to be. But I'm meant to trust the system. Even if I don't like the result I get, I must trust the system would work. Because the moment I start destroying the system, I'm destroying the country that I live in, So I think that we should give that perspective to those that are going on Twitter, from X, formerly Twitter, to destroy our country. Because what you are doing is you're not understanding the long-term impact of that your few seconds that you drop a comment. And the fact that some people have sacrificed their entire life to become judges at this level. That they are living, this is their integrity, this is their life, this is what they live for. They don't have alternatives. And they have put in their very best, and they've put a judgment out. And because the judgment does not sit well with you, you discredit who they are. You discredit their integrity. Just because you feel you have the freedom to put it online, you insult them. And we need to start qualifying all of these things. Because I know that people will come for us. They've been doing that we are saying this because of where we are or where we work. Wow. It's not really about that. It's about the fact that this is my country. I have 3 children. I have my parents. I have siblings. If anything happens to this country, we will have major crises. So as much as we want to protest the corruption, the challenges we're facing, we also want the country to remain one.
My own issue is that if there's anything your view is supposed to do, is to help the ignorant understand better. Because we all can't understand at the same way. We learn in part. So our job is to help to break it down. Yeah. Because I was listening to the radio today. People are just coming in saying also they have no clue.
Their emotions.
It's just emotions speaking. And emotions can burn down a nation.
Exactly.
If you don't give clarity.
Yes.
So what is the clear part about the law? Breaking down that people understand what the PEPT, that's the Presidential Tribunal, what did they come up with is the fact that the president's mandate remains sacrosanct. The expectation that Abuja was going to throw off the president was not upheld because they felt that Abuja is just one state, just like every other state. So that should not throw it out. That was their own defense.
Our lawyer said, let the Supreme Court.
Let the Supreme Court explain what happened with the Abuja issue. When there's the dispute about one outstanding issue, you interpret it to settle the mischief in question. So you're not saying because they have ruled that Abuja cannot, is not our electoral college, like the way they are making it to be online. You are saying, they are giving Abuja state status. They should give them governor. They should give them local government. I don't understand. Abuja remains outside, and we have to decide 36 states. What do you do to Abuja? You give it a special status to continue the confusion. You will add it and give it the same status as the rest to decide the issue, to settle the mischief. And that is law. It's not anybody's personal, emotional interpretation. That's how it's done. If there's an issue about how many mugs are here, to settle it, if this one is not, call it color green, let's know what it will be at the end of the day.
Then there's...
okay. Shola's been holding. I'll come to UBC. He's been holding for him. Shola, thanks for calling.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning, Morayo.
Good
morning, everyone in the studio. Morning. But I want to congratulate Nima for seeing you today.
Thank you.
God bless you. You are welcome back.
Happy to see her back.
God bless you. Morayo, that statement of comparison that you just made, in fact, I appreciate you for that this morning because that has been my question since all the days with people that we have been having argument. And nobody is able to answer that question. Thank you so much for that question you asked
the lawyer. And number two, Nima, honestly, I give it to you this morning. I give it to you this morning. The statement you make, you actually make my day. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Lastly, please, Tope, I want to make this statement. You see, this statement has been going all over in Nigeria. You will see people come out and say the majority of Nigerians are not happy with this election. Who are the majority? Who are the majority? Is it because we are not protesting in Lagos? Is it because people are not coming out to talk? And then will be coming out and be saying majority because you hate this particular person. You be saying we majority. Who are the majority? Please, you are on the air. I don't want people to be saying it because we are speaking to the whole world.
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much,
what
Shola.
people after Nigeria will be cut.
Thank you very much, Shola.
Social media.
What I want to say is, I'm now realizing, it's been reinforced and reemphasized with this tribunal that the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. So if you are the accuser, you must work extra hard to prove your case. And that was what I saw. And you must make sure that you have a watertight case. Your evidence must be strong because you are the one. Every other person said it's okay, but you said there was a glitch. So you must prove to the latter that that glitch really exists. And we also need to learn how to be good losers, not sore losers. In the spirit of sportsmanship, they always tell us that whether you win this today or lose today, you're all together. We're all working towards a greater good. And if you sit back and say, because I did not have my way, because the Lord did not go according to how I have wanted it, that I'm going to disassociate myself from the country, then you pack up your things and you leave. Because every leader who holds a position of authority is put there by God. There's nothing you can do about it. That person must be respected. When you move on to the Supreme Court and you finally have your day in court and probably win, the person who is coming up again will be respected. It was ordained by God. And I would appeal to Nigerians to try and be logical. And I know that, with elections and everything, emotions are always flying. People are thinking based on what they feel they've been deprived of and everything. But when the cases come out, use your brain. Use what is presented to you. Read it to the latter. If you need somebody else to break it down for you, ask questions and understand. And once you get it, that you have been wrong, can you silently just be quiet?
That's why I said that.
You cannot admit
What that's why I said. What I think I would like to take away from this entire episode is that we equip ourselves towards the next election to make sure anybody I'm sending out is getting the right information.
Yes.
We need somebody to come and we need a workshop. What does my representative, what are they looking out for? What should they take? We must have, how do I ensure that I have somebody across the nation monitoring? Because the burden of proof, as you have said, is on the accuser.
Yeah.
Now, INEC's error, their number one error, is that they promised a guide, they put out a guideline. In addition, my God, it's a promise. In addition to what is legally binding,
we will also.
in addition to this thing that the law says I should do manually, just to help you, to make you to reassure you that I've put clinical billion naira to invest in technology, just to prove to you, I'll add this one as
that addition did not work.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason, that addition did not work. During that day, it did not go real time. That's the keyword, the real time, because it was still eventually uploaded. But the real time, as I'm telling it, is not going up. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Well, let's assume it is the law. Let's assume that the electoral act provided the INEC, any result you do not upload on IREV, cancel election. So do we leave our elections undecided because a frustration happened? All these people that are talking no law. There's a principle called frustration, even in contract, that when something I promised to, I am now incapacitated, I wasn't able to carry it out. You cannot now come and hold the neck, which is what the court is saying. That the law did not even compel them, but even though they committed, even if it was the law, they will do their job because there are other methods of going on with the election. And it was done. They counted votes, they did the beavers, they did all of that. Should we now say all the votes to the dustbin?
And even the irresponsibility of somebody saying that, where did all the 300 billion go? Come on. I saw it on social media.
But even at that,
somebody responsible.
Their server failed. There were several attempts to hack
Yes.
Let me
They were incapacitated. They couldn't have done anything else.
So the
Let me
point
come
is,
to
we
talk
like
about
other
one
countries
of the
more than
things I
our
wanted
own.
to leave with people that are watching and are on the fence, that are listening to the other side and listening to this other side and wondering where should they stay, is the fact that your emotions do not count in court.
At all.
Hearsay does not count in court.
That's
They said they rigged in my
I will
place,
bring my
does
neighbor.
not count in court. My neighbor saw it with a tukorokoro
Yeah,
eye,
we go and
does not
call her.
count in court. What you have to be able to do is you have to bring hard evidence. And the judgment that took place that we read was based on the hard evidence that was provided. If the PDP candidate and the Labour Party candidate feel that they brought in hard evidence and the hard evidence was not considered, they should post it, but they haven't. What they have been doing consistently is using emotions. And
they are not
it's
the ones
not good
speaking,
for
though.
us
It's the mob,
on their
oh.
No, but they should not
behalf.
post it.
they put-
They have the right of appeal.
They put
They should go to
the-
the Supreme
Is it
Court.
not the mob?
But they let them respect whatever is decided by any court in this country, starting from the court of first instances to the final courts in this country. Let's respect courts.
Yeah, but they said they are going to.
If you say they did not do the right
It's
thing,
the
go to the Supreme
followers
Court.
now
Not
that
be
are
say
doing
Supreme
the
Court
fight.
will decide tomorrow.
Okay.
You post the Chief
They have
Justice,
to run.
you post all the judges of the Supreme Court, and you start to name them, blacklist
anyhow.
them online, and abuse them as if the one that you are praising in another country will give you
better.
judgment.
Wow.
When you go see apply for visa, you know go see.
They have to run. That is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things that we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for me. Nima is back.
We go see this out.